This just came out from Anthropic. You can now enable Claude to use your computer. And if you've been using OpenClaw, if you've been using ClaudeBot before that, it opens your apps, navigates your browser, fills in spreadsheets, everything you would do sitting at your desk. Research preview in Claude Cowork and Claude Code Mac OS for now. There will be a Windows version, maybe a couple of weeks later. But that's what just dropped last night, America time. I've been playing around with it this morning. It's pretty good. I'm going to talk about how this fits into the rest of the ecosystem because Anthropic, the creators of Claude, are releasing so much stuff right now that it's really hard to keep a grasp of what everything is. For example, they have 3 different ways to access your Claude via your telephone. To access what's going on your computer, you can use dispatch, channels, or remote control. That's just for one function, which is talking to your computer via your telephone. It's a mess because they are shipping so fast, 2 or 3 different features every week. So I'm going to clear that up, show you what this is, show you why this is important, and show you how to get started with it. Claude Computer, that is what we are talking about today. The context of this is that we are shifting. There's actually a fantastic tweet from Ethan Mollick. We are shifting from chatting to AI doing stuff for us. Now, this was the promise back in 2025. We're going to have agentic systems. These AIs are going to work for us. We're going to be able to put our feet up and go on the beach. Didn't happen in 2025. The word agent and the word agentic was used for marketing. It was used to raise money. It was used to sell stuff. It was not actually the reality. That changed. December 2025, there's this tweet from Ethan Mollick. From an AI user perspective, the big 4 leaps so far in ability have been GPT 3.5. That was the first big public release that we had. GPT 4, that was when ChatGPT in particular was actually quite useful. GPT 3.5 was like, oh, this is cool. What an amazing toy. But it was a bit early. So about 5-6 months later, they released GPT 4, which was the first one that was actually genuinely useful and we could use on a day-to-day basis. After that, we had reasoners. So the reasoning models using chain of thought and other techniques started in spring 2025, which was only about a year ago. Not a long time ago. Ethan Mollick is saying workable agentic systems, harnesses and good reasoning models. December 2025 into January, just a few months ago, AI has changed. And if you are still just using ChatGPT to ask questions, you're basically using AI like we used to back in 2022, 2023. It has shifted from chatting to actually being able to have the AI do something for us. Massive shift. Previously, we would talk to the machine, it would understand us, it would give us a document, we'd copy that document or that code out into another piece of software to get our work done, or it would give us a list of instructions. It's still useful for that kind of thing. But what the newer AIs can do, and I'm talking about things like Claude Code, OpenClaw, is they will put together a plan, do the research, work out what needs to be done, and then do the thing. That's the shift. And it's only really become feasible in the last couple of months. So AI is going from chatting to doing. OpenClaw, although initially it was called, we had a very bizarre week. It was initially called ClaudeBot, CLAWD, like a claw. Anthropic sent basically a cease and desist. Their lawyers got in touch and said, you cannot use that name. It sounds identical to Claude, which it does. Very fair. So ClaudeBot became OpenClaw. OpenClaw proved the demand for this type of system. OpenClaw is a persistent and proactive AI assistant. It became the reality in December and January. What they showed was a proof of concept. There was a massive amount of demand for an AI that knows everything about us. It keeps that in a persistent memory. It knows what kind of jobs we're working on day to day. And it's able to proactively reach out to us. So every half an hour, it has a heartbeat where it will check in on what it's meant to be doing and then reach out to us and say, hey, have you remembered to do that thing that you said you were going to do? Or I'm just checking in on this. Or I've produced this report for you, and so you can move on to the next thing. It would proactively reach out to you, and that made it more useful than us going to the AI. The AI would come to us. So OpenClaw proved the demand, and it's still an incredible tool. I use it every single day. It's not for everybody. So normally when I talk about AI technologies, I say, hey, go and play around with it. Go and try it out. What's worse? You lose an afternoon maybe, but you will learn something. OpenClaw is the first technology that I recommended people who don't feel technically comfortable. I recommended people stay away from it for now. It requires setting up with the terminal, API keys, potentially dedicated hardware if you want to have it on all of the time. You might need to buy a little Mac Mini. That's what a lot of people did. Or you can set it up on a VPS. But if you don't know what a VPS is, then this is a technical learning barrier here. And then we had a number of fairly terrible security breaches. Remember, it was basically being made by one guy and a team of collaborators, but pretty much Peter Steinberger. So this was not an enterprise-ready piece of software. It was a fascinating project, but the amount of attention he got, the amount of users and people downloading it and using it was far beyond what any one person could deal with. There were security issues, and the team has done amazing jobs keeping it up to date. But when you have something this popular, without having hundreds of staff members to help you get this to a safe place, it's always going to be difficult. It was kind of a victim of his own success. Agents going rogue, spamming. This is what killed it for me, really, is that I spent more time optimizing and playing with my OpenClaw than I actually used it for work. I love doing that. I love tinkering around and building things and optimizing and working out what it can do. But I wasn't actually doing the work that needed to get done. For me, that's fine because this is my job. It's my job to play around with these things, learn how to use them. If you were just trying to use it for your business, it wasn't quite ready yet because you need to be working on your business. Shadow, one of the maintainers of OpenClaw, said, if you can't understand how to run a command line, this is far too dangerous of a project for you to use safely, 100%. So OpenClaw, fantastic, not for everyone. However, Anthropic saw what was happening with OpenClaw. They also shut down Claude the name, which I think was fair. It does sound just like Claude, C-L-A-U-D. And then they started cooking. So they released something called Cowork back in January. And then they've been releasing many, many features, 2 or 3 different features a week, basically replicating a lot of the functionality of what OpenClaw provides. I actually found somebody who did a tweet of what Anthropic have released over the last 3 months. Mad. So January, Cowork. February, they had Opus 4.6, Sonnet 4.6, the best models at the moment. PowerPoint integration, Excel integration, Cowork plugins release, Claude Code security launch, the ability to run security checks using Claude Code. Claude Code remote control, that's the ability to use your telephone to access remote sessions back on your computer while you're away. Scheduled tasks in Cowork, connectors, they made them available in the free plan. Claude Memory, they made it free to help pull people away from ChatGPT during the Pentagon exodus. Claude Marketplace, ambassadors, code review for Claude Code, skills for Excel and slides, charts and diagram and chat. That's the visualizer that I covered last week. 1 million token context window, so they went from 200,000 to 1 million. Dispatch for Claude Cowork, that allows me to use my telephone to talk to Cowork, which is different to remote control, but very similar idea. Claude Code channels, again, another way to talk via your telephone remotely back to your terminal. Cowork projects, and today, Claude Computer Use, or Claude Computer. They have been absolutely on a tear, building out this ecosystem, which is allowing us to move from chatting with AI to AI doing things for us. I think OpenClaw set down the foundations. They showed how exciting this could be, but Anthropic are the ones who are running with it and absolutely capitalizing on it. Interestingly, Peter Steinberger, who created OpenClaw, he has been hired by OpenAI and presumably is working on a version of OpenClaw inside of the ChatGPT ecosystem. However, we haven't seen anything. Nothing has been released, whereas this is what the Anthropic team have been releasing. Claude is on fire right now. Just every single day, boom, 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 here's something new, here's something new, here's something new. I think that they are looking at the OpenClaw feature list. They're looking at what people love about OpenClaw and saying, okay, do that. So I think in a week or so, we'll probably have the heartbeat introduced. So the ability for it to check every 30 minutes, every 10 minutes to see what it should be doing. And then it becomes persistent and it can become proactive. Really exciting. Here's the list. They've been blitzing out features. I wish they would take some time off and have a break. Remember that they're building all of this with Claude Code as well. This shows you what happens when you have unlimited access to Claude Code and a team of cracked engineers and potentially access to Opus 4.7 or a future model that we haven't got yet. They're just blowing everyone out of the water. Compare this to a large company like Microsoft. Compare this to a large company like Apple. Nothing. But Anthropic are just boom, 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 boom. I'm incredibly bullish. So, computer use. That's what I want to talk about. That's the main topic. I've been playing around with it all this morning. The difference between computer use and what we've seen before, previously Cowork from Claude Cowork, it works in its own virtual machine. So you could give it access to Chrome and it would be able to navigate around Chrome using the Chrome extension, but it didn't have access to the rest of your computer. Now it does, using something called Claude Computer or Claude Computer Use. Now to turn it on, first you need, I think it's only available at least a day on the Max plan. It will filter down to the Pro, maybe the free plan eventually, but right now it's on the Max plan. And you need to head into, to search around for this because they have so much going on that sometimes, has Claude gone down? Nope, there it is. You need to go into settings. This is different from the one that I was using. Is it capabilities? See, I've lost it again. Okay, you need to do it from the app. Confusing, isn't it? You need to go into the Claude desktop app, which you can download, and then you go into settings, then general inside of there, and you can toggle on computer use. It is by default off. So that's how you turn it on. You do not turn it on from the web version. Apologies for that. What it can do is it can take over your Mac. It's only available on Mac right now. Nobody calls it a Macintosh. Who am I? And it can move around your computer. It can open up programs. It can access your browser. But more importantly, it can access desktop applications. So you could get it to open up Keynote. It could open up your video editing tool, and it can navigate around everything on your computer. Now, OpenClaw could do this previously. This is why people were buying Mac Minis, to give it its own computer that it could run inside. So what they've done with computer use is they have replicated that functionality. Cowork previously could work in its own virtual machine, and it could work in Chrome, so it could do web-based activities. That's just widened out. So it can now do anything you can do on your computer. It can navigate, it can click around, it can take control of software, and it can do what it needs to do. Very cool. I've been playing around with it today. Importantly, there's no terminal, there's no setup. You turn on a little toggle and it's good to go. And then you're just going to talk to Claude. But in order to solve the tasks it needs to do, it will just take control of your computer with the right permissions and get to work. Couple of things I want to talk about Perfectivities. So the way it works, it goes through a decision process. You give it a task. You say, I want you to clean up my desktop and create a screenshot folder, and then go through and visually inspect each of the screenshots and create an SEO optimized name for each of the screenshots so that I can upload them into my website. It will try to do that using 3 different methods. First, it will use connectors. This is ones where it has a direct connection. So Claude or Claude Cowork can talk directly to a piece of software and they can interface quickly. That will be fast because they're using APIs, they're using MCP, they're using command line interface, and they're able to connect directly. They will just send code back and forward and get something done. So you can connect into a whole bunch of different connectors. I'm going to put up the ones on the web version because they'll be basically the same. I think it's in connectors. They're moving capabilities and connectors into customize. So if you're watching this later, they might be in customize. So here you can connect up a whole bunch of different things. Email, Google Calendar, Canva, Figma, Notion, Slack, HubSpot, Atlassian, Linear, Monday Intercom, Box, Miro, Gamma, Excel, etc. So if you can connect to one of these directly, then Claude Computer Use and Claude Code and Claude Cowork will use this first. Cool, because that's going to be the fastest. If it can't, it will open up your browser and it will navigate around using the Claude in Chrome extension. So that basically allows you, I'll show you what that looks like. It pulls up a little sidebar like this, and this means that your Claude is now connected to your browser and it will navigate around as if it's a person clicking on things, doing what it needs to do. So that's the next way it will do it. If it cannot do anything through the browser, it will take direct control of your screen. And the way this does this is basically records what's on your screen, either takes a snapshot or a video, and then it uses that to navigate around. So that is if it is taking control of your mouse and keyboard and physically taking control of your computer. Now, there is a speed issue here. If the task can be done through connectors, it will be done that way because that's fast, that's reliable, it's a known quantity. If not, it will then default to the browser and it will click around through the browser using the kind of navigation elements and get the job done. And if not, it will fall back to screen control. Screen control, I was testing out this morning, very slow. If you are giving it a task and you're sitting at your computer, you would not want it to be in screen control because it does take control of your computer and you can see it kind of clicking around and it takes forever. So that's not something you'd actually want it to be doing while you are anywhere near your computer. For example, if I was trying to label screenshots, I could probably just do it a lot faster manually rather than sitting and watching it. Now, obviously that's going to speed up, but right now it is so slow. You can be away from your computer and you can use remote control or dispatch via the app, the Claude app, to set up a task, which then will be done on your computer back at home. That's where this gets really cool. So that task of labeling some screenshots, if I was sitting here, that would be a waste of my computer's time. If I'm elsewhere away from my computer, I can set that task up and just let it take its own sweet time. And if it takes 20 minutes to label 5 screenshots, it's not the end of the world. That's absolutely fine because I'm not using the computer. So this is the hierarchy. Remember, this will all get faster. Right now, it's a bit clunky, but Claude Computer came out yesterday. It came out about 12 hours ago. So let's not judge it based on where it is right now. Judge it on what this means for your workflows, your ability to be portable, to not be stuck at a computer all of the time, but to relay to your computer tasks that you want it to do, to give it a long list of tasks that it would work on as you go out and enjoy the day. Or you buy a bunch of computers and you have them all working in parallel, building you a business. That is where we are moving towards the computer, the AI just getting on with things and being fully automated by itself. So very cool. Safety. I put out a video saying that Claude Cowork is basically OpenClaw for adults. It upset a lot of people, but I stand by it. OpenClaw is fantastic. I love it. It is not for everybody. It's fine if you want to tinker around. It's fine if you are technical. It is fine if you are willing to accept some of the risk. And remember, again, one of the maintainers, Shadow, he said, if you can't understand how to run a command line, this is far too dangerous of a project for you to use safely. So their own official people were saying, maybe sit this one out. This is something that can do a lot of damage if you get this wrong. So what they're doing with the Claude ecosystem is they're building it with far more safeguards. It requires a lot more permissions before accessing each app. It requires more input from the human. Whereas at OpenClaw, you could give it a task and you could say, don't ask me anything, just get on with it. And it would go ahead and do that, depending on what model you connect it to. There are built-in safeguards in the Claude system. So this is a double-edged sword. One side, great, safety. It's not going to wipe my inbox. It's not going to use my credit card and go and buy crypto. Great, that's good. On the flip side, it's less powerful. So OpenClaw is more powerful, but that power goes in both directions. That could be disastrous or that could be amazing. So this is a much more refined, the sharp edges have been taken off. It means you have a safer version that is also less powerful. This is always going to be the balance. So it'll always ask permission before accessing each app. You can give permissions and say you've got permission for the rest of this session, because otherwise this gets very annoying. I found this on scheduled tasks in Cowork, where I will schedule a task, but every time it's firing that task, the first thing it asks is, oh, can you okay me to do this? It's like, well, there's no point me giving you an hourly task to run every hour if you require me to be there to physically okay you. So that sometimes gets in the way and it blocks it from being able to work. Investments in crypto apps blocked by default, probably sensible. I get a lot of people in my chat saying, how can I use this to build an investment bot? It's like, oh, my man, don't. Christ almighty. Custom block lists, add any app, prompt injection scanning built in. So already, Peter Steinberger, the creator of OpenClaw, he says the best model, if money isn't an option, the best model to use is Opus with OpenClaw, because it is the most resilient to prompt injection. It's the most resilient to people messing with your setup and getting it to do things that you don't want it to do. Because this is already built in Claude, it's already using Opus and Sonnet, you get that by default. You can stop Claude at any point, and Cowork memory excludes passwords and sensitive data. It is very fussy about that too. I put in an API key. It's just like a throwaway API key. Don't do that. But I gave it the API key and it's like, delete that immediately. You shouldn't be giving me that information. Okay, sorry. Which iOS version do you need for it to work? Do you mean on the Mac? I'm on Mac OS. It's not going to be on iOS. It's on Mac OS. So it's going to be on your Mac itself. I don't know. I'm on the most recent and it's fine. Still, if you are giving access to something like Claude Computer, there is an inherent risk, especially with Claude Computer, because it is coming outside of its sandboxed virtual machine and you're giving it access to your main machine. That's always going to come with risks. Avoid giving it tasks that are to do with finances. Don't give it access to your banking details. Maybe don't give it legal documents. If you have client data, don't give it that. That's going to be a data protection nightmare. There are still things you need to think about from a security and a data point of view. That yes, it's safer than OpenClaw. Does that mean it's perfectly safe? No, not at all. As soon as you're giving an AI any kind of autonomous ability to operate for you, you're introducing risks. There is no way around that. This is new. Computer Use came out yesterday. It's been out for about 12 hours. So are there vulnerabilities? Are there risks we don't know about yet? Yeah. And there will be some very smart, very malicious people trying to work them out right now. So if security is a huge priority for you, maybe just wait a few weeks, wait a month or so. I said this is the same with OpenClaw. I think this is the same with Computer Use as well. Just wait until the wrinkles have been ironed out. So how do we actually get this started? You're going to download the Claude desktop app. You can do that from Claude.ai, or you can go, oh, you cheeky buggers. The top sponsored result for Claude desktop is the Codex desktop app. Excuse me, from ChatGPT, cheeky buggers. We're going to go down to the first organic result, which is the ability to get the desktop app. This is classic Claude. There should just be a very simple one, which has a big download button, but instead it's going to their docs. Unbelievable. There we go. This is the one that should be at the top, but Anthropic haven't managed to rank it. There we go. This is what we want. We just want a big download button. Mac OS, you can also get it on Windows. There is no Linux version. I know that's upset people. You can make your own version apparently using Claude code, but it's not going to be that stable. So you're going to go ahead and grab the Mac OS app. Claude Computer specifically is not yet on Windows. Remember though, it only came out 12 hours ago, so just give them a moment. Already people are screaming at them on Twitter like, why no Windows? Just breathe. Give them a few days. So you're going to download Claude Desktop, you're going to log into your Claude account on there, and then you're going to turn on computer usage. So settings, general computer use, toggle it on. That is in the desktop app, not the web version. So it's not at Claude.ai. You have to use the desktop version. You give it a task like you would normally in Cowork or Claude Code. But if it needs to access your computer, it will do that as a fallback. So it will try through the connector first, then through the browser, then through screen control, actually manipulating your computer. What they've really done is added this third or the second fallback here. That's kind of it. Much easier to set up than setting up OpenClaw. You don't need to touch the terminal. You just need to toggle on computer usage and you're good to go. They are quickly replicating all of the different elements of OpenClaw, but inside of the Anthropic system. And they are beating ChatGPT to providing a Frontier Lab-led personal AI assistant. I don't know where the ChatGPT one is. They better blow it out of the water when they do release it. But Anthropic are releasing every single week and are in a very good position because of that. So once you've got this downloaded, installed on your computer, that's cool. The really cool thing though is that you can control it from away from your computer. So that means I have a Mac Mini sitting here. This Mac Mini is always on. It's always running little tasks, pulling reports for me. It runs my business. Probably need to get something a bit more powerful because I'm using it so much and I want to start doing video stuff on it too, but that's a secondary conversation. So that's going to sit at home. But while you are out, this is where it becomes really powerful. You can relay instructions to it. So you can do two different ways at the moment, three different ways. First is, let me see if I can show it to you on camera. This might be tricky. So the first is one called dispatch. It's not going to work, is it? There we go. Dispatch. Dispatch allows you to talk to Cowork specifically. It allows you to send instructions back to your computer, and Cowork now has access to your computer itself. So you could say, I left a file on my desktop. Can you go and grab that for me and put it into a Google Drive or email it to me? You can now do that using the combination of dispatch and Cowork on your computer, which now has computer usage. Obviously, that's a very facile example, but the fact that everything is meshing together and is accessible from everywhere, that's what's important here. You can talk to Claude Code using either remote control, which is a bit buggy, or channels, which I'm finding a lot better. Channels allow you to connect to Slack, Telegram, I think Discord, one of the other chat apps to have conversations with your Claude Code. Works really well, but it's sending the instructions back to your computer, and the actual session, Claude Code session, is happening on your computer locally. So very cool. At the moment, it's all a bit bitty because they have Cowork, they have Claude Code, they have dispatch, they have remote control, they have channels, they have computer use. Everything's kind of all over the place. I imagine over time they will just pull it all together. Claude will be able to tackle that in a number of different ways. It doesn't matter how you send it. We'll probably have one way to send instructions back. It will know whether it should go to Cowork or whether it should go to Claude Code, and it will know what tools it should use. So I think increasingly all of this would merge into one, and we will give a request. It will work out the best way to do that and then give us the result, or do the work for us, and we don't even have to check. That's the future though. This is not the only one out there. There's a few other agentic systems you can use. OpenClaw is the one that everyone knows. It is open source, therefore it is free. You are going to have to hook it to a model. OpenClaw itself is just a little gateway. It's tiny, and it needs like 32 megabytes of RAM to run. So the gateway itself is this tiny little package. What you need to do though is you need to connect it to your tools. You need to connect it to a large language model. You can either use a local one of the Chinese models, or connect it through the API to ChatGPT, to Claude, to whatever you want. The creator, Peter, he's been hired by OpenAI and he's working on something for them. We don't really know what that is, but presumably it is open. I don't know what the name's going to be, but whatever that is, it's not here. It hasn't been released, whilst Anthropic are just shipping. So I don't know why that's taken so long. I say so long, it's been less than 2 months, but in AI timelines, that's an eternity. Another alternative is Perplexity Computer. I don't like it. I don't think it's very good. I think it's slow. I don't really see the purpose of it. It's also not cheap. It's $200 a month, a Claude Max subscription, and use Claude Computer, use Claude Cowork, use Claude Code. I don't really see where Perplexity Computer fits in the market. Personally, I'm sure there are people out there who absolutely love it. And the computer usage was quite useful up until yesterday when Claude released computer usage. Imagine at Perplexity headquarters right now, they are shitting bricks because theirs is more expensive and not as good. That's tricky. I wouldn't particularly recommend. Manus, which is now owned by Meta. Manus has an agent mode. It's okay. It's fine. Neither Perplexity Computer or Manus agent are as good as OpenClaw. They're not as powerful. Now that Claude is every single week, or Anthropic and the Claude team are every single week pushing out these new features, these new updates, anything that is useful in Manus Agent or Perplexity Computer, the Anthropic team will just replicate it. If I'm betting on one of these horses right now, it is Claude, because the rate that they're shipping, the fact that it's all in an ecosystem, it's connected to the most powerful coding harness called Claude Code, and the most powerful models, Opus 4.6, Sonnet 4.6, means it's hard to beat. I think Perplexity uses Opus 4.6 as well. So why pay them $200 a month when you can pay Anthropic $200 a month and get the same thing, if not better? Doesn't make sense to me. So this is where we are right now. It's the 24th of March, 2026. This will probably look wildly out of date by the middle of the year. And by the end of the year, there is no way to predict what's happening. The main thing, the big takeaway, is that we are moving from chatting to AI doing stuff for us. So if you haven't played around with agents, if you haven't played around with vibe coding, I highly recommend you do. Getting AI to actually do stuff for us. That's where we are heading. That's been the promise for years, but it hasn't been good enough up until recently. So it is December 2025, where suddenly, according to Ethan Mollick, and I agree with him here, these systems became good enough to actually use day to day. And the people who have realized this, these are the ones who are no longer sleeping. I get lots of people in my chat who are like, I was up till 2 a.m. last night building such and such. I have somebody in my WhatsApp group saying they were building a tool to help their kid prepare for their Oxford exams. We can just build anything. We can just make things. So if you have an idea, you can just make it a reality now. And the people who have realized that, as of December, are not really sleeping, but they are building a huge amount of stuff because it's incredibly exciting. That is where we are right now. And the barrier is dropping. So previously, you had to be quite techie to use Claude Code. Now you don't. They've built an app. So you can just click on the Claude Code button and talk to it. Very, very simple. Previously, you had to be technical to set up OpenClaw. Now we have a Claude version of that. Claude Computer, Claude Remote, Claude Dispatch, Cowork, all of this ecosystem. The barrier to accessing these new technologies, these new AIs that can build for us, is dropping. Every single day it's getting simpler and simpler. However, when you see something like this, when you see a list of everything that Anthropic is shipping, it is very easy to get overwhelmed and be like, I don't know where to start. I don't know which one to use. I get that entirely. So that's why I'm doing these presentations, to help to cut through some of that noise, because look at this, what a mess. Which is not Claude's fault, not Anthropic's fault. Their teams are doing amazing things, but for the average consumer, working out what they should be doing is very complex every single day. So if you do want some help, I'm trying to keep track of what's going on. I'm biased, but I do recommend my newsletter. So it's free. It's available at aiwithkyle.com. Click on here, join the community. You get a free AI readiness course. And there's other courses. You get the daily newsletter, which has presentations like this one, but a written version to allow you to consume it faster. Free courses on here, how to start a business using AI, how to start teaching other businesses about AI by giving workshops. Really good way to make money right now. And a catalogue of 100 and something playbooks as well. So there's a huge amount of stuff on here. Absolutely massive. That's all free. If you just go to aiwithkyle.com, you'll be able to sign up and join that. Because I'm trying to get everyone ready for what is coming. And that means keeping on top of trends like this and how you can use it to make your life better. Because that's kind of all that matters right now. I'm going to switch over to the questions. I'm just scrolling through. Jeff, hey Jeff, unannounced Claude Dream update. Yes, I've heard of this. I don't know the details of it. Oh, you're saying it cleans up memory and eliminates anything contradictory and unclear. Very cool. I got computer use on Windows with dispatch. Is it actually controlling your computer? Because it shouldn't be. That's a bit concerning. So right now, Claude Computer Use is Mac OS only as of 10 p.m. last night. So it shouldn't be able to control your Windows PC. That's a bit worrying. It can control Chrome, and you can use Dispatch to talk to your Claude app on Windows, but it shouldn't be able to actually go out into your file system and click around and install and take control of your computer. Shouldn't be able to do that yet. What's the credit usage for screen control? I haven't looked at the tokens because I ran one earlier. I've run a few. I don't think it's particularly extraneous. Do you not think Codex does everything all these do? No, it doesn't do everything all these do. Codex is great, but not computer use or any of the new Claude features released yet. Codex is great. Codex is a really good harness. If you only have $20 a month for an AI tool, I actually recommend ChatGPT over Claude for that reason. Claude, realistically, you need to be on the $100 a month plan to be able to really use Claude Code. $20 a month isn't going to hack it. However, with $20 a month on Codex, you get a huge amount of usage. Codex is fantastic, and I use Codex. I use both of them. If you have $100 a month, Claude Code, definitely. If you have $20 a month, Codex, because you can actually use it as a day-to-day. But no, it can't do all of this. Which iOS version do you need for it to work? So this is the desktop application. I have an old version of Mac, and I cannot download Claude Cowork. Is there a way around it? Probably not. There's a mad way to do it, but you might be able to download the Windows version and run it through Wine. Wine is, I was about to call it an emulator, but apparently it's not an emulator. Wine HQ. Run Windows applications. Wine. Oh, it's an acronym for Wine is not an emulator. It's a compatibility layer. Download the PC version of the Claude app and then try to run it through Wine. I doubt it will work. It might be because you don't have Mac Silicon. Oh, I am out of focus. That's because I held my camera up. Have I been out of focus for the last 20 minutes? Thank you, Jesse. That's all the questions when I showed my phone on the camera. That's very annoying. We'll see what we can do. I don't think we can do much about that. Oh, well. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. All of this will be in the newsletter, so make sure you check that out. And the newsletter's free at aiwithkyle.com. I will see you. Cheers.